Morning, guys. Today we are going to begin the fourth chapter of civics, that is police and court. So here in this chapter we are going to learn about police force in detail and their hierarchy, their function, the laws regarding the police force, and the court functions related to the police force. Everything we are going to learn here in detail. So if you take police force is the state subject according to Article 246 of the Constitution. So the state government is having the power to appoint the police officers in the state. The highest officer is the DGP of the police force, that is Director General of Police. And this police force, their function is to safeguard the people, protect the property, enforcing law, and maintaining peace and order in the society. So let us go to the hierarchy. So let's start from the bottom of the police force. The lowest post in police force, it is the constable. Above constable, it is head constable. Above head constable, it is station house officer. Above station house officer, it is ASI, that is assistant sub inspector of police. Above ASI, it is SI, sub inspector of police. Above SI, it is inspector of police. Above inspector of police, it is ASP, assistant superintendent of police. Above ASP, it is DSP, deputy superintendent of police. Above DSP, it is SP, superintendent of police. Above SP, it is SSP, that is senior superintendent of police. Above SSP, it is DIG, deputy inspector general of police. Above DIG, it is IG, inspector general of police. Above IG, it is DGP, that is Director General of Police. Okay, this is the hierarchy. If you take this hierarchy, we can divide this hierarchy into three groups. That is the senior officers. Senior officers is above the inspector, that is assistant superintendent of police. From there to the topmost post, Director General of Police, it comes under the senior officers. Below the senior officers, they are having subordinate officers or inspector of police, sub inspector of police, assistant sub inspector of police. They function as subordinate for the senior officers. They function the office work as well as the field work. Okay, so that is their function. And below this subordinate officers, there is constable, head constable, and other constables. They are coming under the constabulate force. Okay, they actually do this surveillance, patrolling, and maintaining law and order. All those things were conducted by the constabularies. Okay, and these senior officers, they were appointed by the UPSC. The UPSC is the Union Public Service Commission examination. After conducting the examination, people who are get cleared as IPS officers, they were appointed as senior officers in the state government as SPs. And it is the starting appointment of the IPS officer. And if you take this police force, almost 85% of the police force, it is at the level of constabulary. Okay, now let us learn about the Police Act of 1961. This Police Act of 1961, it is giving the duties for the police officers, as they have to obey and execute the orders which are given by their senior officers. And they have to collect the intelligence. Intelligence is information. They have to collect and communicate the information regarding the matters which are going to affect the public peace. And the next one, it is they have to prevent the crimes, and they have to detect, and they have to bring the offenders to the judge. That is, they have to produce them before the courts. And all these things were edited by the other law, that is the National Police Commission Model Bill. This one includes more responsibility over the police force. That is, they have to promote and protect the public order, that they have to ask the people to maintain the order in the society, and they have to make it ensure that they are following the law and order properly, and their duty is to investigate the crimes, and they have to find the convicted, who convicted the crime, and they have to produce them before the court, and they also have to identify the situations which may lead to crime, and they have to reduce the opportunity of crime by patrolling, and they have to protect the individuals who are having a problem, and they have to provide the feeling of security to the public, and they have to help the people in traffics, okay, by lining them. They are regulating the traffic. They have to help the people, and they have to help the people in resolving the conflict among themselves, and they have to help the people who are really in the situation of distress, and also they have to collect information related to the matter which are going to affect the public peace, or which are going to lead to a crime, or otherwise social economic offenses, or which is going to affect the national integrity or security of the nation. All those information they have to collect, and they have to stop those incidents, crimes, prior to those things which are going to happen. Okay, next one, district police administration. If you take district police administration, that is, the state is divided into number of districts. Each districts were given under the control of superintendent of police, SP, and each district is subdivided and given to the deputy superintendent of police, that is DSP, and every subdivision is divided into number of police stations. So if you take police station, the SHO, station house officer, was the in charge of the station, and here all the law and order maintenance and prevention and investigation works, everything were carried in the police station. All kind of criminal records were maintained in the police station. Okay, and then FIR. FIR is the most important one. It is called as the first information report. The first information report was filed by the victim, or the people who are going to help the victim. They will file the FIR in the police station. Okay, so while they are filing the FIR, they have to provide certain informations like their name and their address, who are actually lodging the complaint, and then the date, time, and location of the incident, what they are going to report, and the true facts about the incident, and then the name and the description of the person who actually involved in that incident, and names of the witnesses who actually witnessed the event happened. So all those things we are supposed to give in the FIR. And Supreme Court also directed the police force to lodge complaints who all are willing to lodge a FIR. If suppose someone is denied by not filing the FIR, then that officer who denied the right to file the FIR, he will be punishable legally according to the law. Okay, if suppose in case your FIR is not acknowledged or taken by the police station, then you can directly go to the superintendent of police, that is SP, or his higher office, and then, or else you can send your complaint through post to the SP office, or else you can directly file a private complaint in the court which is having jurisdiction over that incident. Okay, or else you can directly go to State Human Rights Commission or National Human Rights Commission, anything else. These are the four options, so you can go and get your right properly. And next one, can the police punish the people? Okay, that is the question. you might have watched that police people, they actually slap some people on the roadside because of their misbehavior. So you may have a question that police is having the right to punish the criminals. Exactly not. They are not having any right to punish the criminals. They are supposed to arrest the criminals. They have to investigate the case regarding the crime, and they have to produce all the evidences before the court. Only the court is having the right to punish the people who committed the crime. Okay. So after listening everything, they will produce the they will award the punishment. Okay. So, and also this police is not having any direct role in the civil matters as like the criminal matters. Civil matters like a property problem or financial problem or personal problems, all those problems, the police is not having any direct control over it, but they will have a keen eye, vigil eye over the matter, because those things may lead to criminal offenses. So they will have a keen eye over it, and they will, in case something is happening, they will keep or maintain the peace and order. Next one, role of the courts. So now the court will hear both cases like civil cases as well as the criminal cases. So in case of civil cases, the property value decides the jurisdictions of the court, and nature of the crime also, it decides which court they have to go for. Okay. And if you take the criminal justice system, it is having two major components. One is the police force, next one is the court. We learned a lot about the police force. Now let us learn a little bit about the court. So next thing we are going to learn about the public prosecutor, defense lawyer and judge. So let's go with the public prosecutor. So if you take public prosecutor, the public prosecutor is the lawyer who presented himself on the side of the state, that is the government. He will he will produce all kind of facts, evidences and witnesses before the court, and he will argue on the side of the government. Okay. His work begins once the police actually they filed the charge sheet in the court. So next one, defense lawyer. So every convicted person is having the right to have a defense lawyer according to the article of 22 of the Constitution. And if suppose that person is not wealthy enough to have his own defense lawyer, then according to article 39A of the Constitution, it is the duty of the state government to provide him a defense lawyer to argue and help him in that case. Okay. The defense lawyer will help him in bailing out, or help him in trial, or present appeal, or advise him regarding the case. All those things were done by the defense lawyer. Now the judge. The judge will hear the witness. Okay, what the witnesses are telling, and he will examine the arguments of both the side and the evidences produced by both the side according to the legality of that evidences and witnesses. So the judge will decide whether the person is innocent or guilty. If suppose he is going to be innocent, he will release him from the case. Suppose he is going to be guilty of that one, then he will provide him either prison or fine, or suppose if it is going to be heavy, then he may give him both prison as well as fine. Okay. If suppose both the party were not, or any of the party were not satisfied by the verdict given by the judge, then he can go and appeal the higher court for getting his proper justice. Okay. So that's it guys. By this, the fourth chapter of civics is over. I think everyone understood everything well. Thank you class.